This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by the upcoming Cannabis Media Summit, which is taking place in Times Square, New York City on Friday, December 7th. This first inaugural event will bring together industry journalists, thought leaders, and media professionals to dive into the ever-evolving world of cannabis media. If you listen to this show on a regular basis, you'll not be surprised by the news that there's a lot of interest from more traditional publishing and media companies in our industry. The Cannabis Media Summit will feature panel discussions on topics like starting a marijuana media company, ethics in cannabis reporting, and using media for effective communications. And a quick bit of disclosure, I will be at the summit leading a panel discussion on marijuana podcasting, with Boston Globe's Dan Adams also slated to speak, in addition to Deb Borchardt of the Green Market Report and our very own Shalene Title, aka one of Massachusetts' 5 Cannabis Control Commission members and an active user of Twitter. If you're in New York City next Friday, you don't want to miss this conference. You can open up cannabismediasummit.com to learn more and to register. That's cannabismediasummit.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Tuesday, November 27th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 616 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story today is the big news out of New Jersey that state lawmakers advanced a proposed bill yesterday that would legalize adult use marijuana. A joint Assembly and Senate panel held hearings yesterday and heard from scores of people who testified either against or for the idea of legal cannabis. In the end, the legalization legislation was approved in addition to 2 other cannabis-related bills, one dealing with the expansion of New Jersey's medical program, while the other concerns the expungement of cannabis-related criminal records following legalization. The adult use legislation will now head to the floors of the Assembly and Senate at large. Both chambers of legislation are controlled by Democrats, and Governor Phil Murphy is a vocal proponent of legal marijuana, so the conditions are set well for legalization. Pop over to Kyle Yeager's story on this one at Marijuana Moment for all the details. Marijuana Business Daily's chart of the week grabs our second top headline with its underlying story about the high percentage of Oregon licensed marijuana cultivators who are in danger of losing their business license because of failed inspections. More than 25% of all Oregon outdoor marijuana farmers inspected had some kind of violation charged against them in 2018, and 11% had serious enough charges to face possible license seizure. Oregon has started to crack down recently on its industry after being criticized for having a system that makes it too easy to divert cannabis to illicit markets. Lots of interesting things to learn here. Open this one up both for the chart and for the accompanying context. Wrapping up today's top headlines brings us up to Canada, where the Financial Post has an interesting story up, looking at how some of the country's top marijuana companies are handling the severe shortage of supply that has marked the opening weeks of the Canadian legal adult use marijuana industry. With a lot of demand and not much supply, one company, National Access Cannabis Corporation, has set up a team of 5 people to watch online wholesale markets around the clock so they can nab up any new supply that becomes available. From the Financial Post's reportings, it sounds similar to when a super popular band's new concert tickets go on sale. With the logistics of marijuana cultivation being what they are, most experts believe Canada's cannabis shortage will last for months. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, the upcoming Cannabis Media Summit, which is taking place in Times Square, New York City on Friday, December 7th. As marijuana prohibition continues to be thrown off by different U.S. states and the stigma of cannabis falls away, the outside world is starting to take a more focused interest in our industry. With more newsrooms assigning reporters to cover legal cannabis and entire media startups springing up to capitalize on the hunger for marijuana news, it's more important than ever that you have a good handle on the intersection of journalism and cannabis. If you or your business could benefit from that, then you need to register for next week's Cannabis Media Summit, which again is taking place on Friday, December 7th, right in Times Square, New York City. I will be there leading a panel discussion on podcasting, as will a number of top journalists, media professionals, and industry thought leaders. Miss this one at your own peril. Open up cannabismediasummit.com to learn more and to register. That's cannabismediasummit.com. All right, time for the Blitz. Massachusetts continues to roll out its adult use marijuana program, with 3 more dispensaries being given final license last week, though they still have a number of hoops left to jump through before being cleared to actually open up. So far, Massachusetts has just 2 operational adult use dispensaries, with the others that have received final license working to get those last final to-do items checked off. Starting off a short chain of stories requiring a little bit of disclosure, we have news that multi-state operator 4Front is merging with Cannex Capital in an all-stock deal. 4Front is, of course, the company of our friend Chris Crane, a host and regular of our weekly podcast, Marijuana Today. I also worked for 4Front for a year or so, where I developed our popular newsfeed email newsletter. The all-stock deal values 4Front at around $230 million and will result in a newly merged company that will trade on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol CNNX. 4Front CEO Josh Rosen will serve as the CEO for the new company. Congrats to everyone there for that. Another story requiring some disclosure as it concerns our new sponsor Cureleaf, which is reporting that its 2018 Q3 financial results were up substantially over previous periods. For their third quarter ending at the end of September, Cureleaf, a multi-state operator with vertically integrated operations in 10 states, saw total revenues of $21.4 million, up from just $5.5 million the same quarter last year and up from $14.6 million from this year's second quarter. Alan Brockstein over at New Cannabis Ventures has all the other relevant numbers and details on this one. I'd swing over to give it a look. Lots of interesting bullet points there. KushCo grabs our third story today in need of disclosure, as they are also coming on board in the next few weeks as a new sponsor of ours. KushCo also reported on some recent financial results, revealing that for its fiscal year ending August 31st, it pulled in revenues just over $52 million, up 177% over the previous year. One of the more notable stats on this one, which you can open up for a full read over at Green Market Report, is the $13.5 million the company has on hand, compared to just $900,000 it had in the bank 12 months prior. The nation of Greece just issued its first medical marijuana cultivation business licenses. Greek lawmakers legalized medical marijuana earlier this year, and the country has been slowly spooling up an operational program. It just awarded cultivation licenses to 2 companies that will open up large greenhouses, with plans to give out 12 more licenses by the end of the year. Matt Lamers over at Marijuana Moment grabs a 2-headline day, following up his previous story about Greece with a pickup of news out of South Korea that a very limited form of medical marijuana has been approved by the government. The South Korean government is not particularly known for its tolerance of progressive drug policies, having made headlines last month after warning its citizens abroad that they could be punished for using cannabis in other countries where it's legal. So the fact that any kind of motion has been made to improve access to medical marijuana is big news. Another good story to dive into in full today. And finally for today, we have a story out of Massachusetts about one of the downsides of legal cannabis, and that's parking. The town of Leicester, home of one of Massachusetts' 2 adult-use shops, held an emergency meeting yesterday for residents to vent about the increased number of cars and boosted foot traffic that resulted from the opening last week of the Massachusetts adult-use industry. City officials and police did their best to reassure the concerned citizens that things will die down once more dispensaries open up in the state. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, the Cannabis Media Summit, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.